So you've learned a little bit about Rube Goldberg and the crazy contraption cartoons that he created. What we're going to do now is to look a little bit more closely at those cartoons to see how they've been written and then use some of those techniques to create our own cartoon. So if we have a look at this picture, this is an example from the book that you just read, and we're also going to have a little bit of a look at one of Rube's original cartoons that he did back in the day. So as we can see, there are some similarities between the two in the way that they've been written. They also have the same purpose, and that purpose is to entertain the reader. So these are imaginative texts. The purpose is to entertain. They do that through humour. But they're also a kind of informative text in that they're written as an explanation. So they explain things step by step and they show the cause and effect between each step. So it's a bit of a mishmash between an imaginative and an informative text, but its main purpose is to entertain. So if we start looking at the features of both of them, they both have an image and they both have some text, and that type of text is an explanation. The explanations start with a statement about what the machine is trying to solve. So in the top one, the machine is showing you a perfect way to put toothpaste on a toothbrush. And for the bottom one, it's showing you a simple way to get fresh orange juice upon awakening. So they both start out with this statement showing you what problem the machine is trying to solve. And you'll need to remember to do that when you create your own cartoon. Now for the next bit, we're just going to look at the bottom one. And we're going to see how the text and the image work together to help the reader understand what's going on. So we're going to start just by reading through the explanation first. So, sun's rays shining through magnifying glass A burn hole in hot water bag B. Dripping water gives pet Albanian ook C a headache. He leaves to get aspirin, causing string D to release jumping jack band leader E. Musician F brings cymbals together, squeezing juice out of orange G into glass H. Now that's a lot of information to read all in one go, and if you're reading it without seeing the picture, it can be a little bit confusing. So what we're going to do is work through the text and look at the picture to get a sense of what's going on here. So let's read the first sentence. Sun's rays shining through magnifying glass A. So I've hit a letter here, and what that means is that I go across to my picture and I find letter A, and that tells me where I need to look to see what's going on. So let's think about that sentence. Sun's rays shining through magnifying glass A. So that's the first bit that's happening. Let's have a look at what happens next after that. So those rays burn hole in hot water bag B. So let's find B. Yep, here it is. And we've got that hot water bag. And what was happening? Those rays were burning a hole in it. So let's see what that causes. Dripping water gives pet Albanian ook C a headache. So let's have a look at what's happening there. We've got our pet Albanian ook, and the water from that hot water bag is dripping onto his head. And what's that going to make him do? Well, he leaves to get aspirin. Now this is where you need to think a little bit, because the picture doesn't show you what happens here. You have to use your imagination to think how the movement would happen at this point. So when the Albanian ook goes to get his aspirin, he's going to jump off the table. So we need to think, when he jumps off the table, what's going to happen next? If we keep reading, we're going to find out. But sometimes in these cartoons, you need to have a bit of a think about what the movement would be that's happening. So after the Albanian ook goes off to get his aspirin, It's causing string D to release jumping jack band leader E. So let's have a look at what's happening there. We've got the Albanian ook jumping off the table, and that's pulling that string that's going up through that pulley, which lifts that lid, and it makes the jumping jack band leader spring out. Now let's see what that causes. Musician F brings cymbals together. So we've got our band leader has started conducting, and that's made our musician bring his cymbals together. Again, you need to imagine the movement that's about to happen here. Because what happens is that results in squeezing juice out of the orange, G, into glass, H. And there's that glass, H. So you can see here how the explanation text and the image work together to help us understand what's going on. So let's go over the features of one of these crazy contraption cartoons so that you get an idea of the things you need to include in yours. The first thing you need to do is to state the problem that your machine is going to solve. Remember, this needs to be a simple problem because your machine is going to be a complicated solution. Another thing that you'll need is an explanation. So, this is the sequence of steps in your machine that show cause and effect. Remember to use those letters to help connect your text to the image. Of course, you're also going to need to have your cartoon diagram to show the reader what's happening. Make sure you include those letters so that it connects to your text. The last thing to remember is to balance the imaginative and informative parts of this text, so the humour and the science. So the point of this cartoon is to be humorous and entertaining. But when you look at the scientific aspects of it, they're still correct. So for example, when the Albanian ook decides to jump off the table, it's going to create a force in this direction and a force in that direction, which is what would happen in real life. So even though it's a funny, crazy, absurd way to do things, it actually could be done in real life if you wanted to. So now it's your turn to have a go at creating a crazy contraption cartoon. If you're a bit stuck for ideas, that's okay. There'll be a video in your learning package where I have a bit of a go at this, and I guarantee that will contain many fail whales. This task might be a bit tricky at times, but just give it your best shot and have fun with it. And when you're happy with your cartoon, you're able to upload it to our Stage 2 Padlet. And on that site, we will put all of our drawings so you can have a look at each other's work. All of the teachers are really excited to see what great stuff you guys can come up with. Hope you have heaps of fun with this task. See ya!